Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. The Premier League is back and Manchester United started it off on a good note. How did they do it? Where did Leicester City go wrong? Don't worry, here at the interviews, we've got you covered. So on this edition of the interviews, we're going to break down how Manchester United beat Leicester City. So in today's video, we're going to break down how Manchester United beat Leicester City, and the three main talking points we're going to discuss is why Manchester United struggled in the first half, what did Leicester City do right, and how Manchester United improved in the second half. When we do break it down, Rashford up front, Alexis Sanchez, and you have Juan Mata on the flanks, and midfield, you have Paul Pogba, you have Fred, and you have Andreas Pereira in midfield. When you think about Leicester City, 4-2-3-1, they had Iheanacho up front, Maddison just in behind them on the flanks. They had Gray and Ricardo Pereira, and in midfield, they had Ndidi and Adrien Silva. What went right? What went wrong? Well, United were up 1-0 in the opening stages, and that really helped them get forward. But the weird thing was that they sat off in the second half. We saw this a lot last season where they would drop a bit deeper, more of a 4-5-1 without the ball. Alexis obviously a bit higher, and you're thinking, well, where is Leicester going to find some joy? And Nacho wasn't really breaking in behind. He was looking to get forward. Ricardo Pereira isn't a natural right-sided attacker, although he can play there. Demarai Gray is the dribbler. In midfield, they had Ndidi and they had Adrien Silva, not renowned for breaking the lines with their passes, fighting passes in those spaces, more about playing passes out wide, reliable, possession-based players. So when we think about them, how are they going to get forward? The key man here was Maddison, and what they did very well was that they found triangles down the left-hand side and they exposed the positioning of Fred and Pereira. When you think about it, United didn't really sit up. They sat off. They didn't really press. They were lethargic in that sense, very sloppy. Obviously, when you look at the way the system is set out, the shuttlers are supposed to press Ndidi and Adrien. Adrien and Ndidi had time, but when they did step forward, what often happened was that we saw Maddison shift over to the left. Now, what you have here now is a triangle being created because you have Gray against Darmian. You have Mata, who is on the right side, not renowned for his defensive abilities. Although he can track back, that is not what he's known for. We saw Chilwell like to bomb forward and behind him, and then what happened is that Maddison was able to slot into that space, create the triangles, and it forced Fred to push over. Leicester found a lot of joy. They stopped. The game was stop-start because they were fouling Maddison. We had Fred fouling him. You had Demarai Gray winning 1v1 duels against Darmian, and you had Chilwell breaking forward, and that was really where they were finding their joy in that sense. And then they were slotting into spaces to the left and to the right of Pereira, and that's where they were finding a lot of joy in that sense. When you think about the chances that they created, you think about one where it's just, and it was offside actually, where Chilwell breaks forward, he ends up laying the ball to Gray, and he slots it into Iheanacho, who pulls off his marker and lashes a shot wide. He was offside, but it was a great illustration as to what they were trying to do down that flank. There's also one in particular where you have Amarte stepping forward, playing the pass into Iheanacho, who lays it off to Pereira. What happens is that Pereira finds Maddison drifting into that space, trying to get that ball into Gray, breaking in behind. That doesn't happen, but again, that is a warning sign. That is something that happened. Maddison also was dropping off a bit deeper to get onto the ball when he moved out to the left. There's one player in particular where the run off was to Ricardo Pereira. He played it into him, and that again shows that he was able to find that space to play that pass. Their best chance in the first half obviously stemmed again from Maddison finding space to break into the box. It's Ndidi who does step forward, and what happens is that he slides the ball down the right to Ricardo Pereira, who pulls it back for Maddison, breaking into the box, and he forces David De Gea into a save. Obviously, with United sitting deeper, you think Rashford, Alexis, Pogba's dribbling, Mata's creativity to set them free on the counterattack should be a problem. However, Leicester deserve credit. 1v1 situations or just individual quality just coming back and breaking up play, whether it be Morgan, whether it be Amarte, whether it be Ndidi, they all had turns stopping Alexis Sanchez, stopping Rashford. Alexis Sanchez also deserves some stick for playing poor passes in the first half and throughout the second half, and we'll get to that in a bit. But United in that sense didn't really create any chances besides the goal. When you think about their best opportunities, you think about Pogba breaking forward, playing basically a wall pass to bypass the midfield with Alexis Sanchez. He fired a shot on goal. You think about Fred picking up a loose ball in a scrappy midfield and clipping the ball over to Alexis Sanchez, but he nodded his effort wide. You think about Fred again from a deeper position, playing the diagonal out to Luke Shaw, who was able to bomb forward. What happens at Mata's narrow positioning pulled Amarte to him, and then you had Ricardo Pereira trying to track back, so the pass is played in, plays it over, gets the overlapping pass, fires a shot on goal. United need to step up their game. They did. How did they go about that? Well, in the second half, obviously things changed for Leicester as well. The reason why they struggled to replicate their great first half was the sense that Maddison was no longer getting into that space, those deeper spaces. He was no longer drifting out to the left. Now he was playing a bit higher. Gray was playing a bit narrower. And then you had the fullbacks obviously trying to get forward, Ricardo Pereira floating around. So what happened there was that although they weren't creating any chances, Paul Pogba improved in general, just being reliable in possession, sharing the ball when pressure was on him. He was able to evade challenges, play passes to his teammates, ensure that United kept on to it, opposed to losing the ball and giving it right back to Leicester. So that was one thing that really helped them out. And the other thing was that now they were finding joy down that left-hand side through Alexis Sanchez, through Rashford, playing long balls. And the way they're doing that, they were bypassing the midfield, playing diagonals out to the left to Alexis, getting him to possibly run at Amarte. The thing about that was that Amarte did very well in that first half, sticking tight to Alexis Sanchez, pressing him, ensuring that he couldn't turn with his back to when he had his back to goal, and that was very key for Leicester City. But again, when you look at it, Alexis had so many chances in that second half. He created the best chances, and as the game wore on, you felt that he had to produce something. You had Pogba sliding him in down the left, and he spun Amarte, played across into the box, but Chilwell came across to cover that. We had Fred playing diagonals out to Alexis, but he couldn't find his teammate in the box. You think about playing loose passes to Rashford, waiting for Rashford to go offside before playing a pass into him, trying to play a pass into Mata in the box, but not finding him. Their best chance came down the left side prior to the second goal, was Alexis breaking down the left, not finding any options, and teeing up Mata to force Schmeichel into a save. Changes were made. Maddison came off for Vardy. Pereira came on, moved to right back, and Gazelle came on the right-hand side. Manchester United turned to McTominay, they turned to Lukaku, but again, it's Alexis. And this time it was even simpler because for some odd reason, Ricardo Pereira in his natural right-back position, just simple balls over the top, losing Alexis Sanchez. One time he should have played it into Lukaku. It was a tame effort. The other opportunity, just again, a simple punt up the field. There were times where it was Fred, there was Lindelof, there was Bailly who intercepted a pass and it went between the lines for Pogba, who slid it to Alexis. That was what teed up the Mata chance. But there was one other opportunity where, again, simple long ball over the top. Alexis gets in behind Pereira, beats Morgan who covers, and then you have Maguire coming across, plays it into Lukaku. Lukaku should score 1v1. He doesn't, denied, and then the second goal comes, and again, it's down the left-hand side. It's not Alexis this time. It's Mata picking up the ball from midfield. It played a 1-2 with McTominay. In midfield, you have Gazelle not tracking his run. You have Shaw getting in behind him. And then what happens is Pereira comes across because he was caught narrow. Shaw pushes it past him, and he's able to somehow slide it past Schmeichel. In the towards the end of the game, obviously Vardy came on. He was on later on. He nicked a late goal. It stemmed from Pereira pushing forward towards the end of the game, delivering two quality crosses. The first one behind Bailly that Vardy mishits. The second one hits the post, and then he nods it into the net. But when we break the game down as a whole, United center backs were good except for the final 2 minutes where Vardy received two legitimate goal scoring opportunities. Paul Pogba improved in the second half, but that wasn't enough. Fred had a nice cameo. He impressed in bits and pieces. He should get better. But for United, is this what's to come this season? Can they get better? In the first half, they didn't know how to pick up Madison. When they tried to break on the counterattack, they were a bit too deep. They didn't press Leicester's midfield close enough, and they were able to play into dangerous positions in United's half. The second half, obviously Madison playing a bit higher did help them out. They bypassed Leicester's midfield and played balls into the left-hand channel. And when Ricardo Pereira went to right back, Alexis Sanchez had his way. On the balance, United created enough goal-scoring opportunities to merit full 3 points, but they need to be better. But let me know what you guys think. Can United get better? What about Leicester City? Can they improve without Riyad Mahrez? And was this simply just a bad game for Alexis Sanchez? Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.